Raw and Nerdy.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Raw and Nerdy. This is episode number 37, and I am joined by my fellow co-host, the Nerdist Extreme, Mr. Rook.
What's up, everybody? It looks like we're going to be doing a free form because Archon's not able to join us today because, you know, he's a father spending time with his family.
I'm a dad too, but both my kids live back east. So I'm going to go a little story about this here, okay?
All right.
If you take my personality and nerddom, you just as general, really, and you split it in half, you get my two kids. I have a 21-year-old daughter who is currently in nursing school. She got in her first try in testing. I am super proud of her. And she lives in Pennsylvania. And then my son is now, he's a sous chef, training to be a head chef currently. And he lives in Buffalo, New York. And those two mean the absolute world to me. And if you take my personality, split it in half, you give it to each one of them, that's exactly what happened. My son got the full nerdy side of me. The gaming, the movies, the TV, you name it. My daughter, it was the science and the curiosity and just the general personality.
That is a 50-50 split from you.
Yeah, it's insane. And they are the best thing that's ever happened in my life, period. Bar none. And will be, no matter what happens. I miss them like crazy. They live on this side of the country, so I don't get to see them very often. I just got to see my son about a month ago. And I'm going to go to New York probably in October. I'm going to go spend about 2 weeks out there. I'm going to go spend time with my son. We're going to take a road trip down to Pennsylvania and we're going to see my daughter. I am super excited for that. I miss them like crazy. They're adults now, so it's hard.
How dare they be adults?
And, well, they're exactly what every parent wants. They're successful, intelligent, contributing members of society.
Sir, I must correct you on this. Because
What?
I've read enough Reddit stories of entitled parents that that's
God.
not what every parent wants.
Okay, so the good parents want that.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it too much, but there's some parents out in the world right now that really, really scare me and really make me scared for the next generation of kids. I know I'd raise mine correctly. I'm Gen X. I raised my kids in the Gen X principles. So my son is, you can ask him, he's definitely an honorary Gen X mini.
Honorary Gen X. Wow.
And I know he listens to this show every now and then, so love you, son. In fact,
What's up,
from what I understand,
Joe's son?
what I understand is that on Monday, I think it's Monday nights when they do it, when he's closing the kitchen, him and the kitchen staff will close everything down when they start cleaning everything up, and they'll all put on Raw Nerdy and listen to it in the kitchen. It's like
Then we need to start
regular thing now.
We need to start making 2-hour episodes so they can't. So that way they don't finish the episode before they're done.
No. If I start doing this full time, sure, no problem. But if we start doing this full time, we're gonna be putting out an episode of Raw Nerdy like 3 days a week.
We would have like 3 or 4, I'd say 3 or 4 shows that we'd be doing
Easy.
one every day.
Yeah,
And
probably.
we'd actually have professional editors working with us.
Hey, I'm professional.
Hey, yeah, but you're a host.
Yeah,
I got to
I
get
am
you away
talent,
from
too.
editing.
I would actually love it if I got away from editing. That
I
takes
know.
up the vast majority of my time with these shows. Between
Yeah, I know.
prepping for the show, getting all the notes together, getting all the audio set up, and then that's about an hour right there. And then we record, which usually takes about an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2, depending. And then it takes me about 2 to 3 hours after to edit, mix it, and produce it. So that's at least 5 to 6 hours per show per week.
Oh, yeah.
And it's all worth it for you guys.
We love you guys.
So, yeah, we don't have too much going on. But one thing I wanted to bring up really quick is that I saw this on Den of Geek, and I thought it was interesting. But they ranked the most powerful Jedi, Sith, and Force users in the galaxy based on the movies, TV series, and so on. You want to hear this?
Yeah, go for it.
It's the top 16. And number 16, do you have a guess? I just want to know, because you know Star Wars a little bit better than I do. Any idea what number 16 would be?
Oh, there's so many Jedi in the entire series. Mace Windu. That's
No.
the first one that pops into my head for some reason. Because honestly, I have no
Okay, that's fair.
basis to
What do you think the top
Base it
3
off
would
of.
be? Let's go off of that.
the top 3. Obviously, based on the TV series and how they portrayed the fear of the Grand Moff, I would say Luke.
Okay.
Followed up by Anakin, And then close. Actually, no. I would go Yoda, Luke, and Anakin in that order.
What's
One, two, and
funny
three.
is that only one of those made their top three.
Really?
Yeah, I don't agree with it myself. But so number 16, they have it as Count Dooku.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
He is pretty powerful.
formidable adversary of the Jedi during the Clone Wars and served as an apprentice to Darth Sidious, but then kind of sucked. Number
Yeah.
15, they have as Darth Maul.
Well, that one I'm not 100% sure about because they didn't really continue his story since they
Yeah,
decided to not continue.
didn't they kill
Uh,
him off though?
no. So Han Solo's backstory brings him back.
Mm,
The Star Wars Solo movie
okay.
or Solo, a Star Wars movie. Yeah, they brought him back.
See, I didn't watch any of the animated series of Star Wars, so I'm a little
That
bit
wasn't
lost on some of
animated.
these. No, I'm just saying for the next one is, for instance, I don't know this person.
Oh, I think
Be-
they brought Darth Maul back in the animated series.
I wouldn't know. I never watched them. I really should start watching the Clone Wars.
The
Everyone
Clone
says it's
Wars
so
is
good.
awesome because it is a lot of adult themes in a child cartoon, and it actually does that series much better.
The only cartoons I actually enjoy watching are Lower Decks, obviously,
Hmm.
and American Dad.
All right, so
Roger cracks me up.
I highly recommend watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and Bad Batch.
Okay, yeah, I thought about watching Bad Batch.
They're both good. I enjoy them.
Okay. Well, number 14 was Mother Talzin, and they
Oh
quote it
yeah,
from during the Clone Wars, the leader of the Night Sisters.
yes, she is BA.
Yeah, she said bring it says she was able to bring dead back to life and conjure a shield around her to keep her safe from blast fire and force lightning.
Hmm.
Okay. The Night Sisters possessed that he ordered their massacre at the hands of Count Dooku and General Grievous. Palpatine was so intimidated by the power she and the Night Sisters. Okay, so I'm sorry. Palpatine was so intimidated by the power she and the Night Sisters possessed that he ordered their massacre at the hands of Count Dooku and General Grievous.
Yes. If you actually want to check it out, Jedi Fallen Order touches a little bit on the Night Sisters.
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. I'm not near much of a Star Wars nerd as I am a Star Trek nerd by far.
See, see, I'm like really heavy Star Trek nerd, pretty decent Star Wars nerd.
And me being a fantasy author, and I love fantasy, it's my favorite genre by far. You think I would be more into Star Wars?
Yeah, since that is science fantasy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Ever since I guess all the recent stuff they've been producing has kind of turned me off of Star Wars completely.
See, I'm the exact opposite of you. I actually like a lot of the more recent stuff. They, especially like Andor. I don't. I like the movies for what they are, but I like how they approach Star Wars completely differently in the TV series versus the movies, because it shows another side to the Star Wars universe that the movies didn't touch really. But what's the next one?
Okay, number 13. I don't know how to pronounce this. Asajj Ventress?
Don't know
Once a
her.
powerful Sith assassin, forged her own path in the Force after her former master, Count Dooku, tried to kill her during the Clone Wars.
Oh, her. Okay, yeah, she is pretty powerful. She makes them. She really makes them work in that series.
Now, see, a lot of these early ones, I don't know. Not till 10 do I start getting into actually knowing them. And this is
No.
and in the top 10, I disagree on some of it. But number 12 was Ezra Bridger.
All right, so Ezra is, if it's who I think it is, yeah. So, what series is he out of? So he is a freedom fighter and is actually trained to be a Jedi, I believe.
Okay, so he's actually featured in Ahsoka.
He's featured in Ahsoka, yes. Uh,
So one of the
he,
few Jedi who has traveled to the world between worlds, a mythical realm connecting past and present through the Force.
mhm.
Okay, never heard of that either.
Yeah, he's actually a good kid, and because Ahsoka takes place during the Jedi Purge. He's one of the few surviving Jedi that you know of.
Okay, well I don't know of him.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying you as the ambiguous term.
It says here that it was his sacrifice that ultimately led the rebels to victory in the days before A New Hope.
Yeah, I haven't watched all of the Ahsoka cartoons, so I'm not 100% sure.
Number 11 is the Great Mothers.
I don't really know them that well.
Yeah, I don't either. Never heard of them. The Great Mothers are connected to an incredibly powerful force magic. Like Mother Talzin, they can grant access to this magic, craft formidable weapons, and even bring their fallen sisters back to life. What makes them even more powerful, however, is their apparent ability to reach out through the Force across galaxies, finding Morgan Elsbeth and inspiring her journey to Peridia in Ahsoka.
Again, I'd have to watch Ahsoka to get that one.
Apparently, they made Force witches. Really?
Yes, actually, that was made a while back. That's been somewhat lore for a while, even in the Legend universe, the expanded universe,
Mm-hmm.
and what they determined is now Legends canon. They had them there too.
Okay, so the top 10 list, we're going to mix up a little bit. So I'm going to read out their top 10, and I want you to tell me where you would put them.
Okay.
And I'll do the same. Number 10 is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay.
I would have put him somewhere around 7 or 8, not 10.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would put him. Yeah, I'd put him around 7 or 8. Actually, I'd put him around
the crap
7.
out of Anakin, you know?
Yeah, he was more wise, and
Exactly.
he was learning that there's no black and white. There are gray areas. So I'd put him around actually
Wasn't he
6 or
like one of
7.
the original gray Jedi?
I'm not sure.
I have to look that up. So yeah, I'd put him up higher than that. Number 9 is Kylo Ren.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I am okay with that, actually. He wasn't that powerful and got his butt kicked.
Mm-hmm.
He had some pretty cool moves, I'll give him that, but when it came to his actual force use, he wasn't that strong. Number 8, Ahsoka Tano. I would put that one probably at 10.
I'd actually move her up to. She would be in my top 8 because she is one. She is a gray Jedi. She walks that line of white, light, and dark.
One of these times, we're going to actually go through the actual lore of Jedi on this
Mm-hmm.
show. Because I know a lot of people don't know about it, and I learned a lot through friends and such and reading. And
Yeah,
then some of it's really, really cool. And you learn a lot of it from the games, too.
that is one we will do when we have Archon.
Yeah, for sure. Number 7, and this one I would put at number 3 myself, Luke Skywalker.
Yes,
So the only reason
I would put him at 2.
Yeah, you're definitely in the top 3 for sure. It said the only reason why they put him at number 7 is because he took several years off hiding from the Force. But then they go, yeah, but when he got back, he did project himself and kick the crap out of Kylo Ren across the galaxies.
Yes, and he is the only character I've ever seen in any show where when he was depicted, he was actually depicted as a Grand Moff fearing the person he sees in the video screens for the cameras walking down the hall. So he's definitely a top 2 for me.
He is legit powerful. And I actually like the old Luke Skywalker, the old man Luke Skywalker, than I did his younger. His younger was just...
Well,
he
you
wasn't
got to
all there.
remember, he wasn't all there. He was learning how to be a Jedi
Yeah.
from things he could find because Yoda passed away and he had no real teacher after that.
That
So
also
he had to
kind
learn
of-
that himself.
Yeah, that gives testament to how strong he really is.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is Mace Windu.
I would move Mace Windu
I
back to
actually
7.
like where they have him. Yeah.
Because I would put Obi-Wan around 6. So I would put Mace Windu 7. I think Obi-Wan's a little bit better than Mace Windu.
Okay. That is fair. Number 5. We're going in the top 5 now. Rey Skywalker. I actually like where they put her. Because she was, even though she was just new and didn't really have formal training, her ability to use the Force was outstanding and powerful.
It is, but on the same note, I'm not going to blame the actual character. I saw where they were going with her. I'm blaming the writing for the character in those movies because they made her powerful without really explaining how she's understanding how to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'll leave her at 5.
Number 4, and I would probably put this one at number 1, Yoda.
Why the hell did they have Yoda there?
That's what I was wondering. It made no sense. The guy was insane.
I don't get it. He's old. He is extremely powerful. It makes no sense.
Like
Now,
incredibly powerful. I never saw him get beat. He died of old age.
oh, he got beat, but he never lost by death.
Yeah,
And I'm probably thinking that's why they put him at fours because he has gotten beat
but he's
by
by far
Palpatine.
the most wise of the Jedi, I think.
He intelligence and wisdom, dude. If you're making a D&D character, those would be 20s.
Yeah. I have number 3 is Bendu.
Who?
Bendu is an ancient being of the Force who resides in the planet Atalan. He is incredibly Force sensitive and claims to represent the center of the Force. But see, this guy doesn't make any sense because he's not really canon so much.
He
So
is
there's
canon.
not in the sense of the movies.
He is labeled as canon, not legend. He was a male force sensitive entity who resided on the remote planet of Adelon and claimed to represent the center of the force between the light and the dark side. Bendu encountered the Jedi Knight Kanan Jarrus in 2 BBY. He developed a friendly relationship with Kanan and his Padawan Ezra Bridger. And okay, so you have to watch the cartoons to understand who he is. Because of my let's see, before I go any further, despite his wisdom and powers, Bendu refused to take sides in any conflict. He was the epitome of neutral.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to go off of to actually put him in this list.
I would actually have to see him in what's it called? I would actually have to see the cartoon because it might explain more because he's the one that gives Ezra his trials.
They have number 2, which I highly disagree. Highly disagree. Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader.
Nah, he should be number 3.
I would have put him at 4 or 5.
Nah, he's actually really powerful. That reminds me of the Lego scene
When he
between.
became Darth Vader, yeah.
Oh no, he was powerful when he was coming up. The problem is his personality really is what flipped him over to the dark side because he could do a lot. I mean, he is the only human that did a pod racing. But yeah, I would put him at number 3.
Number 1, I also highly disagree with, obviously, because I would have put someone else in this spot. They have him as Emperor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious.
I don't find him that powerful. I find him persuasive.
They only put him as number 1 because of his cunning, for the fact that he was able to hide from Yoda and brought along the downfall of the Jedi.
So, first of all, he didn't hide from Yoda. The dark side of the Force clouded Yoda's Force sensitivity and Force senses, so he didn't detect it because of that. So I'm not saying that was Palpatine. That was not Palpatine doing. That was just the dark side of the Force clouding the light side. Palpatine is not powerful. He's not a powerful Jedi, or he's a powerful Sith in the sense that he can really manipulate people, but that's it. I don't really find him that powerful.
The reasoning was he spent years trying to perfect cloning before he was able to come back, at least sort of, in Rise of Skywalker. Unlike so many others, Palpatine had won. He forced the Jedi into hiding for nearly 2 decades and ruled over the galaxy with an iron fist. But that doesn't describe his power at all.
No, it doesn't.
I think that is complete BS, and that he should not have been number 1.
No, I think he should have been about 4 or 5 because, quite honestly, Palpatine to me isn't that strong of a character. He's a very manipulative character, but if you have a character that doesn't really listen to him, then it doesn't work. I mean, Mace Windu saw through his bullcrap.
Have to make him do it.
Yep, Mace Windu saw through it. It was a little late, but he saw through it. So that tells me he's not that powerful. The only reason why he wasn't killed was because of Anakin.
I'm actually starting to get really excited for Star Wars Outlaws. It's something I definitely am highly considering buying when it comes out.
I have seen some questions about it from early players, but I don't know all the details behind it.
Well, the open world, and it's made by Ubisoft, so that's promising. the open world aspect of it and the deep, you know, dive into the lore and history of Star Wars is something I'm really interested in. And being able to go on the planets and see everything is be really cool. But yeah, so that was so welcome to episode 37, where we rank Star Wars Jedi Force users.
Well, you happen to find the article. Otherwise, we just have a lot of nerd news and Xbox showcase highlights.
Have you done anything in your week of nerddom?
No. My nerdom consisted of playing Starfield and working.
I beat my head against the wall at work all week. Since I'm in charge of cybersecurity for work, I don't know if I mentioned on the air or not, but I finally got him to want to do Bitdefender as our main antivirus on the machines, and we have a way of deploying it remotely. But we used to use ESET. ESET's an antivirus that I absolutely hated it. We had it because it embeds itself in the registry even after you uninstall it. So I can't remote install on the machines because of the registry keys. And I can't remove them.
Shitty.
They're protected because it's antivirus. If it was able to remove registry keys for antivirus, then it would be a useless antivirus. The only way to get rid of it is to use a removal tool that you have to be in safe mode to run.
Which means you have to be at the computer to do it.
Yeah. And with 200 employees, 200 machines all over California, that's not really an option. So I had to spend
busy
all week trying to figure out how to do this. I got some of them to work. I tried on my machine. I did the removal tool and everything like that, and I was able to force it through no problem. But we only have maybe 10 to 15 computers that are post ESET installed that never had ESET on them, so they're able to install easily. But then I found a way to do a link for a direct install for the package, and it works on most, but there are some that still need to have the removal, and that's such a nightmare. So I've been beating my head against that. All kinds of fun.
Sounds like you put yourself in that position, sir.
Victim of my own success.
Yep.
It happens. That's one thing I love about my job, though, is that every day it's like I get a new puzzle to solve. I might beat my head against the wall for a week, but I will solve it one way or another. And when I do, it's so elating to know that I fixed it. You know.
Of course, that's how it is in my field as well. Difference is I don't create my own problems.
Hey, now. I didn't create it. It was a need because we were sitting there running Defender because my boss thought Defender was a good idea. And I tried arguing against it, and sure enough, not a good idea.
Windows Defender?
Yes, sir.
That's not an antivirus.
It technically is. And
it is a backup.
But yeah, it's very clear that it's not meant to be a primary antivirus when it auto turns off when you install an antivirus.
Yeah.
So I am fixing a very blatant problem.
Yeah, sounds like it. I'm glad I don't have that problem.
You and I did play a lot of Hearthstone's duos.
Yes, which we're going to play some
Battlegrounds. Yeah, and it's awesome. It's been a blast. Rook and I do pretty good, but my luck is a hindrance at times.
Oh, well, let's just say today's luck wasn't that great.
The quite opposite. It was the
our
opposite.
Highest position was 2.
And we got a 4th for the first time ever, and that stunk. So it's 4 teams of 2 that go head to head until there's only one team standing. I think we've won 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
We've gotten many, many, many second places. It's by far our most we've achieved a second.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into a couple of cheaters. They were reported.
Oh, yeah.
And some that were just lucky and good and kicked our ass.
Yeah.
And after we got off playing duos yesterday because Rook got tired, I played 2 games on single, in which is 8 people go head to head. And top 4 is like, they consider that a win. I actually got back-to-back first places.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
It was unreal.
I've only played solos once, and I got 5th place. The one time before that, I got 1st place.
Solos is a different game. I mean,
it is.
There's cards that don't exist in solo that exist in duo and vice versa, and it takes a lot more to rank up in duos than you do in solo. Like solo, you're expected to be tier 6 by the end of it if you're in the top 4. And so you build your decks differently because it's really cool. If you guys have never played, so Hearthstone is a TCG, like a digital TCG game made by Blizzard, based on the World of Warcraft or Warcraft universe. Mm-hmm. And the game itself is pretty fun. I used to play Hearthstone a lot when the first year and a half it came out. But then they start releasing too many expansions. Like they release 4 a year, and then the old ones are no longer valid. So You have to always be up to date, up to date, up to date. And if you take, like I did, a couple of years off and try to get back into it, you're either going to spend a whole lot of money or you're just going to get frustrated and lose constantly.
That's why I stopped playing Magic, because it was just getting too expensive.
But then they released Battlegrounds a couple years ago. That game is completely different. It's actually a new style of TCG that people are doing. I forgot which one did it first. It wasn't Hearthstone.
Hearthstone's the only one I've seen do the battleground style.
There is some, and there was one before it. I remember reading about it. I don't remember which one though. But basically, you have a tavern, and you get gold, and you get one extra gold every turn. So you start out with like what, 3, and the next turn you'll have 4, next 5, until you have a maximum of 10 in solo and 12 in duos. And you basically buy minions. Every minion's 3 gold to buy, and you put them in an active board. And the whole strategy is what minions you buy, how you place them on your board, in what order, what attack order, and how they synergize with each other, because they each have abilities that can change up the entire set. And they have like elementals, undeads, murlocs, things like that are grouped that you play off of. And you build your board based off of that. And when you go fight, it's an automatic fight. So your leftmost will be your first attack. It will attack a random minion against your opponent, or if they have a taunt, it'll attack the taunt, and it goes a lot deeper than that. But it's an auto attack until either one of the other's board gets wiped out, and then you do how much damage based off of what minions you have on the board is how much damage you do to your opponent, and that's until they hit 0. Once they hit 0 after like 10, 15 rounds, they're done. They're out, and whatever spot that they died at is what their position is.
Yeah,
that's Hearthstone Battlegrounds in a nutshell, and I highly recommend checking it out. It's a lot of fun. You can actually get a group of people. Like, you can even get 8 people together and play Hearthstone or Battlegrounds together, solos, or even duos.
Oh, yeah. It looks like one of the first ones was Pokemon Defense, which was the tower defense mode in Warcraft 3. And then the next one was the codifier of the genre, Dota Auto Chess.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which was a custom game mode for Dota 2.
And it became very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Blizzard and Hearthstone has another mode that's a lot of fun that I haven't done in a while. It's one of their newer modes. I cannot remember the name of it.
Arena?
Nah, it wasn't Arena. I'll have to look it up. But
Arena's the only other one that's been around that long.
No, I'm saying it's what their newest mode.
The newest one that came out, they just shut down a mode, and they started up a whole brand new mode. So I'm not sure what mode you're talking about.
I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's so much fun, and I know it still exists. I almost went in there and played it. But you get heroes, you go through like this challenge board, and what is the name of it? Twist is their newest mode, but that's not anything worth playing.
Yeah, like I said, one of their newer modes, they shut down when they released Twist.
No, the one that I'm talking about has not been shut down. I went in there and almost played
Battlegrounds, Arena, Twist, and the main game.
It exists.
I just told you all 3 games.
Mercenaries.
Oh, that one.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that one.
It's actually a lot of fun. Not as fun as Battlegrounds, but it's definitely fun. If you want to do like a solo adventure where you don't play against other people, you play against the game itself, that's the one to do it.
It's part of their card I don't do their card deck building stuff.
It's really not. It actually plays completely different. It almost plays more akin to. It actually feels like a cross between Battlegrounds and normal. When
I played it, it just reminded me of the card game.
But yeah, Battlegrounds is my go-to. We've been having a blast with it. So if anyone wants to go against us, let us know.
I wish they had an MTC version of Battlegrounds. That would be fun.
We're already 30 minutes in recording, dude.
I got 35.
Well, you started before I did.
Yeah, by 1 minute.
Anyway, let's get into the news.
Let's get into the news. We got a lot of news.
Yeah. Do we want to do science stuff first? We want to go into gaming? Let's talk about your movie.
Let's talk about my movie. So, I was looking up news, and I found some news about a movie. Apparently, Chris Hemsworth is in talks to lead the next G.I. Joe Transformers crossover movie.
A G.I. Joe... What? A G.I. Joe Transformers crossover?
It was set up in Transformers Rise of the Beast. I'm not exactly sure how it was set up. I watched it. I didn't remember how they set it up. It looks like... I think I could see him in that series, though. As long as they don't make him look like Thor, you know? G.I. Joe and Transformers met before in the world of the comics. Blah, blah. At the end of Transformers Rise of the Beast, G.I. Joe is revealed to be a kind of investigative organization in the Transformers world. This crossover movie would, of course, help to grow the Hasbro cinematic universe. And hey, everyone needs a cinematic universe these days.
Yeah, right. So they
All
can
right.
ruin it.
So, writer Derek Connolly has come on board for the movie. He is known for Jurassic World and Detective Pikachu. Take that as you will.
Yeah, no comment.
I know. I actually liked both of those movies. You did not. So, there's that.
I like Jurassic World. Detective Pikachu, I was not a fan of.
It's the best movie ever. No, I actually think for a live action Pokemon movie, they did a pretty good job on that one. Yep, but if they get Chris Hemsworth, that'll be awesome. Now, my problem is I like Channing Tatum in the first movie, G.I. Joe movie. I wish they would have brought him back, but they could have done the G.I. Joe movies a little bit better.
Yeah, Snake Eyes is the jam, but I actually like the Snake Eyes movie they did.
I haven't watched it all the way through. Because they retconned some of the stuff they did in the backstory in the G.I. Joe movie. They didn't really pay attention to what they were doing from the looks of it. Like the right hand didn't talk to the left hand about what they were doing. And so they ended up that beginning movie. What's the movie? That backstory movie for Snake Eyes kind of sort of. I had issues with that part of it.
Taking it as a movie by itself, I really enjoyed it.
Oh, by itself. If I wasn't already going into it with information, I would have. I loved that movie by itself. However, because I always look at the lore that already exists that they rewrote, that bugged me.
Yeah, studios have a bad habit of doing that lately.
Yeah,
Let's go into some gaming.
All right. There's a lot of game news. I'm gonna go into mine first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I like hearing myself talk.
Apparently.
So, Jackbox games, which a lot of people know as a little party pack game thing that you can do at home.
I love Jackbox games.
So, since you love Jackbox games, you know how hard it is to find a particular game you're looking for, trying to figure out what party pack it's in.
Yep.
Well, Jackbox Games announced a unified launcher on Steam, which means instead of having to go jump through hoops to figure out where the game you want to play is, they're all going to be right there as a mega pack.
I have a big family. I'm the oldest of 8, and all the nieces and nephews. So a lot of times when the whole family would get together, we would play Jackbox games together. So there would be 12 to 14 of us playing it, and it was just way too much fun.
Mm-hmm. Last time I went over to your sister's, or when you were in Bakersfield, was the last time I played Jackbox games, I think.
Yeah. And they keep making new ones, and there's in every pack there's like 2 or 3 really good ones, and then the other ones are
Yeah.
So this is a good idea.
It's about time they did something like that. I'm surprised it took them so long.
So Xbox had their showcase this last Sunday.
Yes.
And we talked about the Starfield portion of it, which was a big deal on Starfield Raw. So if you want to know more about that, go listen to our last episode of Starfield Raw. I think it was episode 44.
Yeah, give me 5 seconds. Are you sure it was 44? Because you're right, it was 44.
Yeah, of course I am. But Bethesda actually was the showstopper of the Xbox showcase. They did the vast majority, and one of the things that they announced was Fallout 76, and they released its first ever map expansion called Skyline Valley, where they actually expand on the map itself.
Nice.
Not just adding new factions and stories, but an actual new area. And that launched like the day after they announced it. So that's live now.
So the question is it adding to the map, or is it another zone to visit where you have to zone in?
Adding to the map.
Okay.
I think it's on the far right side of the map that they expanded it.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's awesome they do that. It's about time. Game's been out for years.
Hey, they were trying to make it more what the fans wanted in the game.
Yeah. Bethesda also announced their new Doom, The Dark Ages. And that's supposed to be coming out 2025. Bethesda's the parent company that owns the company that makes Doom. Just so you know. No, not.
Sort of figured that.
They're not Doom. They're Quake. Sorry, wrong one. That's not Bethesda.
Dum.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, guys. I like the Doom games, and the modern ones have been pretty fun. I played the last one. It was pretty good, but yeah, not that interested in it. They. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was announced, which everyone knows it's every year with these things. I lost interest after Advanced Warfare.
I lost interest after Blackout.
Blackout was amazing.
I think that was Call of Duty 4? Black Ops 4?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah. Uh-huh.
I lost interest there.
Me and Rook played the snot out of Blackout. It was so much fun. And I don't
Hmm.
like their newest battle royale. Not near as much as Blackout.
I don't see as many people playing it as they used to.
Mm-mm. Call of Duty is kind of going on the wayside because it's a yearly thing. If they would support the game for a couple years and then release a new one and actually put time and effort into it, awesome. I mean, they do have two different studios working on these titles. Like Black Ops is done by a different studio than like the Modern Warfare. That's done by a different studio, so they alternate years. So they have 2 years to make a new game, which in the span of things is not a lot of time. It's actually a very short amount of time. So these games come out buggy and feel incomplete most of the time. And yeah, not a fan anymore. I lose you.
No, was looking up Black Ops developers.
Mm.
Treyarch, Raven Software, Aspire, and InSpace.
Yeah, they alternate the two different ones, so it's a 2 to 3 year development cycle.
But it's all under Activision.
Yeah, of course, it's Activision. Let's put it out every year so we can make more money. I don't care if it's
That's all it
blah.
is.
The one that I got really excited for, other than Starfield, is Fable, and the new trailer is amazing.
I am interested about that one because the last Fable wasn't as good as the first two.
No, Fable 3 was not. Basically, the new Fable is what they basically said is a remake of Fable 2. It's a reimagining of Fable 2.
Now, my question here is, are they promising things they will never deliver? Because that was a problem with Fable 3.
Yeah, if they stick to the mechanics and the playstyle of Fable 2, they can't miss.
You still have to have a good story.
That's what I'm saying. If they stick to the Fable 2 style, they can't miss. The story, the mechanics was wonderful. Owning property, all that stuff was so good.
I don't want it to be a remake of Fable 2. That's the problem. Or a remaster, remake, whatever they're calling it. I want something original, but with the gameplay of Fable 2.
I don't think you're going to be disappointed. Keep an eye on it, man. Check out the new trailer.
I will.
It looks really good. And it is definitely, it's something that's going to be worth checking out. Microsoft
I'm reading
Flight Sim 2024 is set to launch in November.
Why can't they just continue upgrading the one they have from 2020?
Because they need to build a new engine and make it more modern.
All right, Unreal Engine 5. There you go.
They might actually be using that. I know a lot of studios have been switching over to that lately.
I think they use their own thing, though, because of the flight dynamics and all of that.
Yeah.
Now, sticking with Microsoft, they have an uphill battle on this one note you have in here. Microsoft is working on a new Xbox handheld.
Yep.
That's going to be an uphill battle because Nintendo owns the handheld market.
Well, they also got Steam Deck and the PlayStation 1 now.
Steam Deck, I hear, isn't as great as people think. And PlayStation is going to be hard. Right now, Nintendo, that is their bread and butter, is the handhelds.
I don't own a Nintendo, and I won't. Not a fan. Until they get to where they can get modern-based graphics on there.
Well, when you're running a system that's meant to fit in your hand, you're going to be limited on capabilities.
Steam Deck goes pretty close.
Steam Deck isn't that great.
It still gets a lot closer than what the Switch does.
The graphics may be great, but the gameplay is horrible on the Steam Deck.
That's not what I heard.
I'll stick with Nintendo's Switch.
I need to own another game system. I haven't owned one in a few years. I want one.
All right, then go get a PS5 so we can play baseball together.
Yeah, I was originally going to get an Xbox, but then I need a PS5. My son and you and a bunch of other people I know play on PlayStation, so.
And a lot of the games on Xbox I can play on my PC.
Valid. Very valid.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. So, new Gears of War E-Day was announced. I've never played the series. I played it, the original Gears of War, a little bit. Wasn't a giant fan, so I never played it again. But I know that it's a really popular title, a popular series people tend to really enjoy. So I thought I'd announce it.
I just like the cover mechanics in it.
Sure.
You know what they need to bring back? Another version of Army of Two.
Oh, no, I don't remember that one. One of my favorite military-based shooters ever was SOCOM 2 and 3.
The reason why I say Army of Two is because it was 100% built around co-op.
That's what SOCOM was.
SOCOM was it was really solo, but you could play it multiplayer. The way they built it was an easy match to multiplayer. However, Army of Two plays better as a co-op than in single mode.
The multiplayer aspect of SOCOM 2, 1 and 2 and 3 was what really made that thing shine. and that was the first time I ever had my real experience as being on a pro team. Well, we were semi-pro because I didn't have official tournaments back then, and my team we met in person once and actually went over strategy and stuff like that. We were unstoppable in that game. It was so much fun.
Game I wish they would bring back a newer version of is Naval Ops Warship Gunner,
Mm.
Naval Ops Warship Commander, Naval Ops Warship Gunner 2. That series, I loved it because of what it was. I just think I'll still play on a PS2 emulator now. I just wish they would come out and remake it on the newer graphics.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got in here.
And they did release a new trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows.
God, I'm tired of Assassin's Creed.
I've been predicting that Assassin's Creed will go into Japan, but they did it the wrong way. It should have been ninjas versus samurais. They dropped the ball on that.
What'd they do it as?
You're playing as a samurai
Mm.
against samurais. And the whole thing about assassins is it's assassins. The feudal Japan's version of an assassin was a ninja.
True.
They should have did that instead. They dropped the ball. But it still looks interesting. I might check it out. The last 2 or 3 games I had no interest in. We'll see.
I didn't watch the showcase, so I have no idea what was in it.
And that's it for gaming. On general news, scientists have discovered amber-like glass that can be manufactured. They call it the T-Rex method, based off of the Jurassic Park theory that they found. They were able to extract DNA from amber. And it can be used to store DNA for millions of years without the need for any kind of costly freezing or cold storage. It can be stored room temperature and survive. It can even store data for as long as, the DNA and hold things as such as pictures and stuff like that. Millions and millions of pictures.
I would say, does anybody remember Jurassic Park? But we all know that storage method doesn't really work. However, this sounds like it would be very useful. Maybe
Being
they
able
could
to still just store teraflops and just,
So-
unlimited data for unlimited amount of time without having a need of having to have cold storage. Yeah.
talking about a new way of storing your sperm.
Oh, jeez. I'll give you my DNA to store.
I'll give you my DNA, and then we'll upload my consciousness into the cloud. That way, in several hundred years, we can.
Here, just
clone
give this
me
letter to
and
my
download.
kid that's born in 2 million years from now. What's up? I'm your ancient dad.
No, man. We're going to get to that technology where you can store your conscious in the cloud. So then that way they could just download it and put it into this baby. The baby will come out cursing like a sailor.
For you, maybe. Lack of sleep. I'm sorry, you're going to say.
No. Go.
A lack of sleep can vastly decrease memory retention, this is something that's been speculated on for a very long time. It's now proven. They have discovered that, to put it simply, to make this as simple as possible, I read the entire article and it makes a lot of sense. The brain works like a computer, like a Windows computer, basically. And that when you sleep, it acts like Windows shutting down. So it saves all your information, and then it shuts down temporarily, and then reboots. Your brain has a limited amount of, let's just call it storage, neurons, things like that. And after so long, without sleep, without able to store it into long-term memory, because everything you learned around the day gets stored in short-term memory. And when you sleep is how you upload it to your long-term memory. If you don't sleep, or you're a lack of sleep without going into REM, but more in particular, deep sleep state is where your brain actually shuts down. Most people only go into deep sleep for about 20 minutes a night, but it takes about 4 hours for you to hit deep sleep in most people. You don't dream, nothing. So the time when you're dreaming is REM. When you go into deep sleep, you're never even aware that it ever happened, but that's where your brain uploads everything. So if you only get 3 or 4 hours sleep a night, you're not retaining your memory, and your brain starts to literally dump memory that it deems to be not critical. So those people who would stay up all night and would binge study for a major exam find themselves at the exam staring blankly at their test going, what? But those who went 8 hours sleep the previous night after studying like they should have been tend to do a lot better.
Yeah, but at the same time, Mythbusters even proves that staying awake, all of your functions slow down. A 20-minute nap helps you.
Well, yeah, that's pre-deep sleep, and it helps restore your brain a little bit. But in order to really recover, you need to have a full night's rest, 6 to 8 hours.
Now, for people to understand that don't know the biological aspect of the brain. So when you sleep, your brain is still fully functioning. The difference is it's not having to process everything your senses are taking in.
Except for deep sleep. Deep sleep's where most of your brain does shut down and only your core functions are active to keep you
Your
alive.
your brain is still running.
Look
That's
it
what I
up.
mean. Your brain is still running. However, it's not having to focus on all those tasks that you're doing throughout the day. Your brain's able to just focus on itself for a change, for a better term.
The short of the story is get some sleep. And those of you who are studying for exams, get some rest the night before. Come on.
Now,
It's not rocket science.
here's the problem with that study. While it may be true on the people they've tested it on, what about the people like me who naturally keep waking up in the middle of the night for no fault of their own?
Vast majority of the time, people will wake up after they go into deep sleep before going back into the REM cycle. So most of the time, if you were asleep for 3 to 4 hours, chances are you did go into a deep sleep state. And your watches, like my Samsung watch, is actually very good at monitoring that because it monitors
wasn't.
your pulse. Your pulse slows down dramatically when you hit deep sleep.
Oh, your pulse slows down and goes into a steady state when you sleep in general.
It goes further when you go into deep sleep. So it's able to monitor the rhythms and everything like that changes. It's actually really legit science. I've actually used my watch a few times, and it tells me when I wake up and all that good stuff. And if I hit deep sleep, how long I hit it, how long was in REM, and it's fairly accurate from everything I've been reading.
Yeah, I don't need my watch to tell me I wake up 3 times a night. I know I wake up 3 times a night.
I actually didn't. I thought one night that I slept through the entire night, but it showed I actually woke up for a few minutes twice in that night. I was not conscious of it.
No, every time I sleep, I wake up within 3 hours of falling asleep. I always do. I just roll over and go right back to sleep. I hate it.
Let's move on. What is this one you put in here, buddy?
I put in a few of them. So, is there life on the Saturn moon?
The Voyager one we talked about, by the way, on the air before.
As of the 15th of this month, which was yesterday, they are now saying it is fully back up and running with all 4 of its scientific instruments now. Earlier, it started sending back data. Now it's all 4 instruments are sending it.
Which is good. It's just we don't have cameras because they'll never turn those back on.
No, they can't, sadly. But the 4 that are working, they're all working again. So that's awesome. So as it gets further and further and further away, we will get more and more information about interstellar space. I'm actually excited to see what information they get because I really want to know what's out there in interstellar space. Because I heard of things like dark planets and stuff like that, and I really want to see if it detects any while it's still operational.
So the one you're going to talk about right now are they referring to what's the name of that moon? Enceladus or NCE? That's all I know.
It's Enceladus. Yes,
yeah, that one's been suspected of having actual water on it.
They have been able to prove that it has geysers that regularly erupt from its surface and spray water into space. And quoted from The Guardian, even more astonishing, these plumes contain complex organic compounds, including propane and ethane. Enceladus has 3 key ingredients that are considered to be essential for the appearance of life, according to Professor Michelle Doherty of Imperial College London. It has liquid water, organic material, and a source of heat. That combination makes it my favorite moon in the whole solar system. That is a quote from Dr. Doherty. It looks like it's going to be interesting. They want to recommend a mission to the Saturn moon for the European Space Administration by 2040 with the aim of either landing on the moon or flying through the geyser spraying water and carbon chemicals from its surface into space. Preferably both goals would be attempted, but one or the other will be great. It's going to be tricky because, well, you're aiming for something really small with a weak gravity around this really big body.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard for them to hit it.
Now, a little piece of trivia for you. Without looking it up, can you tell me how many moons Saturn has? I know
146.
You looked it up.
I was reading the article earlier.
I've known that for years. That's always fascinated the crap out of me that it has that many.
Could you imagine if Earth had 146 moons?
We would never see the night sky. our wave, our tidal, we'd have like a low tide, high tide like every 15 minutes.
You just see massive waves. That's it. That would be the tide is the waves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nah, but it looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm actually really interested because it looks like in July of 2005, let me see this. At one point, Cassini passed close to Enceladus, and the instruments indicated Saturn's magnetic field was being dragged around the moon in a way that suggested the little moon had an atmosphere. The managers agreed to direct the probe to take a closer look, and in July 2005, the spaceship swept over the moon's surface at a height of 173 kilometers and detected significant amounts of water vapor. So they were able to verify that's actually water coming out of the moon back in 2005. So that will be awesome.
It would have to be microbiological life because it's too cold.
Well, they said there's a source of heat. So wondering if it's like further inside the body, inside the moon. But I don't know. It was very vague on all that information. I am interested about that. More. I do like the fact that they're talking about that because in every piece of science, sci-fi literature out there, science fiction literature, they always use Titan as the planet.
Yeah.
But if Enceladus has actual life, why don't we use that one? Because then it actually shows a real reason to be on one of the moons of Saturn, studying the life, seeing how it matures on its own.
Well, with 146 known moons, we got plenty to choose from.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the asteroids first between Mars and Earth. Let's start with mining those first, and then we'll worry about getting to Saturn.
You know how hard it is. Have you seen the recent video that they released of a probe that landed on an asteroid?
Yeah, it was actually quite interesting watching that.
It's crazy.
It's tricky because you have to adjust to landing on something that's hurling through space. And
way faster than we can achieve on Earth.
Yeah. I mean, we could do it Star Trek style and just do a slingshot around the sun.
Or use a tractor beam if we're going to go at it.
If we're going to go that technology, yeah, might as well use a tractor beam and stop it.
And just slow it down.
But no, my last article I have is a couple weeks ago we talked about Neuralink.
Yeah.
And how it failed on this guy. Well, now the first user of it is constantly multitasking with his brain tech. Nolan Arbo is the first to get Elon Musk's brain device. 3-year-old speaks to Wired about what it's like to use a computer with his mind and gain a new sense of independence. I believe he has ALS. But in 2016, he suffered a spinal cord... Oh, not ALS. He suffered a spinal cord injury while swimming in a lake. The details are fuzzy, but what he remembers is rushing toward the water with his friends, diving in, hitting his head on something or someone, and he floated to the surface unable to move. The doctors confirmed he was paralyzed from the neck down. Arbo went from being a self-sufficient college student to moving back in with his parents and relying on them for his daily needs. So he learned how to get around in a wheelchair and use the... some people, I've seen it here. If you still have your function of your head, they'll give you a little stick that you put in your mouth that you can blow, or how hard you blow, you can bite down, move it around, and it will actually operate the computer and whatnot. Well, the Neuralink, and this first article I've read where they explain how it all works, was implanted in him as a investigational device, and it's a brain-computer interface. It decodes intended movement signals in the brain and translate them into computer commands.
That's what we did talk about was how the United States is trying to use it for the cripple, for people with impairments, and I think that's amazing.
That is, especially people that have ALS, where their brain is still sharp, but they're starting to lose the motor control of their body. That's awesome because imagine somebody like Stephen Hawking, instead of having to twitch his eye, then he would just be able to think about what he wants to curse his stuff, and he'll start clicking on everything faster than using a little twitch from your eye to get it to work.
All right, we're going to wrap up the show here, buddy.
It's awesome, though. He can now multitask. He actually feels free, so I'm happy.
And hopefully they don't run into any glitches and bugs, but it sounds like it's on a really good track.
Mm-hmm.
That was it for tonight's episode with myself and Mr. Rook over here. If you want to email this show for business, guest appearances, things like that, podcastraw@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at podcastraw. Our Facebook is Raw Podcasts. Our Instagram,
Raw Podcast 1.
and our Discord, the most important one of all. If you want to chat to the hosts and like-minded people from Starfield to all different variations of gaming, from nerd stuff, we have it all there. Discord.gg, as in
Golf.
/Raw Podcasts. RAWPODCASTS. You can follow us individually as well. I am at the Wigit, THEWIGIT, on X and pretty much everything else except Instagram, where I am Author Widget, AUTHORWIGIT.
He's the only widget, so if you actually search for Wigit, you'll find it in Instagram without the author. Just remember Widget.
Remember.
All right, you can find me everywhere as Tomcat213, except for Steam and X. There, I am Rook213.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Or I hope you all fathers out there, the amazing dads that don't get enough credit, have had a wonderful Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Yeah, it's late, but I hope y'all had a great one. I hope Archon had a great one. And y'all stay nerdy.